Hello, today we're going to make buttermilk biscuits from scratch all the way through. I'm going to start off with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, we are going to add in 4 teaspoons of baking powder. So that's my little all-clad 2-teaspoon measuring spoon. So I need 2 of those to be equal 4 teaspoons of baking powder. All right. And to that, we're going to add a half teaspoon of baking soda. Half teaspoon of baking soda goes in. And also a half teaspoon of salt. Okay, we also want to add in 2 tablespoons of sugar. And you don't have to add this, but I also add in a teaspoon of powdered butter. And I'm going to whisk all of that together. All right, time to grate in our frozen butter. And you want to make sure, like I said, it's frozen. And add in 1.5 sticks of frozen butter. I'm using that Kerrygold butter here, so that's why the color is so deep. I do like using this particular butter, but you can use literally any butter. 1.5 sticks of frozen butter. Just make sure, like I said, it is absolutely rock solid frozen before you start. All right, I just skipped to the end to get to the 1.5 sticks. And while I'm doing this, which is getting my milk together, I'm putting my butter and flour mixture back in the freezer. So it's sitting in there waiting for me while I add 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk to my measuring cup. And then I'm also going to add in the same measuring cup a 1/2 cup of regular whole milk. And you actually don't have to have buttermilk in this recipe. You can do all milk if you want to. That'll be 1 1/4 cups of milk. And again, I'm just doing a little something extra that you don't have to do. I add in a couple of drops of butter vanilla emulsion. To me, it just adds a little something to the biscuit. As you can see, I like my biscuits a little sweet, so that's why I add that. I'm going to whisk that together, pull my bowl out of the freezer. Just make sure all of the butter is coated with flour. And I'm also using a wooden spoon. I think it just sort of kind of helps with the process of not getting so sticky, because this is a very sticky dough at first, or mixture. Creating a well in the middle so that I can add in the milk mixture. And just pouring all of that slowly into the middle. And then to incorporate it, I'm just sort of kind of throwing the flour butter mixture over the milk mixture to get it combined. And then I'm going to stir it up. Like I said, once you're done, it is a very sticky mixture, but that tells you that you're doing it right. And then we're going to get ready to prep our surface with some flour. And I did thoroughly wash and rinse, repeat, and dry off my counter, because I just want to keep the dough as pure as possible. Some other times I do it on a cutting board. It really doesn't matter. Just make sure your surface is nice and clean. Like I said, sprinkling down a hefty amount of flour. And just swirling that around, making sure it gets everywhere in my work area. And then we're going to dump out our mixture into the flour. And as you can see, like I said, it is a very wet and sticky mixture. So it's okay to be very liberal with the flour on your surface. This is me trying to get all of the mixture out of the bowl. Okay. I floured my glove so I can get it off. All right, and I'm going to flour my other glove. And I'm going to add a little bit of flour on top, sorry. So we floured our surface, and we're going to flour the top of it so that we can get to working with our dough. Floured my other glove, and now it's time to fold our dough over itself. So we're going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again, just doing some light patting. You don't want to use a rolling pin. You just want to use your hands with some very light pressure because you want to create lots of layers in your dough, but you don't want to over manipulate it as you could with a rolling pin. So I'm just folding it in half and then folding it in half again and then just patting it out that way down to probably about an inch and a half to about an inch and a half thick. So making sure the floured surface stays nice and floury, and like I said, just folding it in half, and then you're going to fold it in half again. And this is how you create your layers, is with these folds. And then we pat it out lightly, folding it in half and folding it in half again. You want to do this like 5 to 8 times. I may have even done it 10 times, to be honest, but the more the merrier, right? But just like I said, don't want to overwork the dough, so make sure you're keeping your taps, your patting out nice and light. And it is a super soft dough, so it's easy to manipulate, so you don't have to worry about patting too hard. Once you get enough folds, as far as how many folds you want to put into your biscuits, you're just going to pat it out to size and then get ready to start cutting. Keeping your work area floured helps the process go a lot smoother. All right, and we're going to get ready to cut. I think I'm using a 2-inch cutter, biscuit cutter, cookie cutter. I'm going to flour it before each cut, and then you just want to go straight down. Don't twist, just straight down, straight up with your biscuits. The first few on my cutter will be a little bit stuck to the cutter, but after I continue to adding flour to the cutter, it'll be a lot easier to come off. Just try to keep them as close as possible while you're cutting out your biscuit dough. And you could literally see the butter in the flour, in the dough. It's going to be a very nice buttermilk, buttery biscuit. And as you can see, after a few rounds in the flour, they come off the cutter very easily. And I'm just putting them still within the floured working area so that they don't stick to whatever you put them down on the counter or the cutting board or whatever. All right, now we're going to pull all of our scraps together and we're going to make a few more biscuits. You see I'm just patting it out again. Doing a couple more folds and patting it out to the same thickness as the others and then cutting it out. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. I think I can get at least one more biscuit out of this. All right, and so the reason I'm cutting it out is because I want a few scraps for the end, based on whichever pan I put this in, and I'm doing a 9 by 13 pan today. So the scraps were important. Don't worry about turning that into another biscuit or whatever right now. We're going to use that later on. So just sort of put it to the side for now. All right, so here is my biggest tip. I don't like my biscuits really hard on the bottom. I like them soft on the bottom as well. And so into the bottom of my pan, I'm going to add some water and then my parchment paper over it. So this is going to make your bottoms of your biscuits nice and soft. But if you like them crunchy on the bottom, skip the water, just do the parchment paper. All right, and so here they go into the pan. You want to make sure that they are touching. These particular biscuits, they love to be touched. So you have to be touching each other, touching the sides. They need to touch something because they do rise up quite a bit and expand. So you really want to make sure it's touching something, because if not, it will just run all over, if for lack of a better description. So all sides touching. And that's why you want to keep the little scraps for the end based on your pan. I probably should have done a 9x9 pan. But I guess I thought I was going to do a double batch of biscuits, and I didn't do that today. So I have all my sides touching, and I'm going to use my scrap to line or outline the rest of the biscuits that aren't touching anything. So I'll make sure that it's touching the bottom biscuit, and then I'm just going to work it up like it's like a snake and let it touch the other biscuits as well. And you'll see when it comes out of the oven what I mean. One quick correction, I think I said all-purpose flour when I first started. It's actually self-rising flour. So yes, I'm adding all of those ingredients to self-rising flour. All right, I'm going to get ready for an egg wash, which is just egg and water. I'm just going to scramble that all up. Like we're going to make scrambled eggs, but we're not. So this is our quick little egg wash. Just make sure it's scrambled really well. And then you're going to use your pastry brush to brush the tops of all your biscuits. A very light touch, no need to press down hard. You're just going to make sure all the tops are done. Don't really have to worry about the sides, but yeah, just all the tops. And I'm even going to do that border of biscuit at the end. Just because it's ugly doesn't mean it's not edible. It's going to still be a very tasty biscuit at the end. So you want to make sure you brush your border as well. All right, it's going to go into a 350-degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Make sure that you're checking on it. I think at the very end, I broiled it for just like 60 seconds. But while that's in the oven, I'm going to do a honey butter mixture because that's what I'm going to brush on top. So it's just a couple tablespoons of butter and honey to taste. And then you're just going to whisk that all together. And that's what we're going to brush our biscuits with when they come out of the oven. As you see, they're out of the oven. And we're just going to brush our butter mixture all over everything. Or honey butter, shall we say. So these are a honey butter buttermilk biscuit. And wait till you see how fluffy they are. They are so soft and fluffy. Like I said, if you want crunchy bottoms, no water in the bottom of your pan under the parchment paper. But if you want a soft bottom, the way I like it, you put a little bit of water in the bottom underneath the parchment paper. And I'll show you the bottoms in a moment as well. All right, I've got those all buttered. And this is that border that I'm cutting off. I'm still going to eat it. Don't fret. That's going to get eaten. And here is our first biscuit. As you see, nice soft bottom, very tender biscuit. I hope you guys give this recipe a try. Enjoy.